Following days of protest in Bangladesh, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has resigned and fled the country. Her resignation comes after 300 people have died in the deadly violence. In an address to the nation on Monday, the country's Army Chief General Weka Uza Zaman announced that an interim government will now run the country. Now, TV360 senior correspondent Deji Badimosi had a one-on-one with the Professor at Jahangir University in Bangladesh, Shahab Enam Khan, to give more insight on the situation.
All right, let's now go to Dhaka to speak to Professor Shahab Enam Khan, who is a professor at the Jahangir University in Bangladesh. He joins us now live. Prof, thank you very much for coming on the show. Let me start by asking you, what exactly is the situation in Bangladesh as we speak, especially in Dhaka, where you are?
Thank you very much, Deji. The situation at the moment is quite cheerful because the former prime minister is gone. The political party she headed is gone. And people wanted a democracy back, but we are far away from democracy at the moment. And then, obviously, we are also getting some sort of news of sporadic conflicts, because we understand that the ruling party, I mean, the immediate past ruling party, is trying to make a little bit of political space, but certainly that's not going to happen. So overall, the situation has come down. No emergency has been enforced by the military chief, and there is no reasons for violence persisting, and the law enforcement agencies are behaving much better than what they used to do over the past 2 weeks.
So who is likely going to head the interim government that the military chief talked about? Is the military going to run things from this point?
No, I mean, what we have heard, and we heard with full assurance that this is going to be probably headed by a former civil service person, or maybe a judicial actor, or somebody who is not associated with the politics directly and who has credibility among all the political parties. And this is going to be essentially a civil society and a bit of political society-led interim government, which aspires to deliver three things. First is the public law and order. Second is to create an environment for elections in a reasonable time. And the third issue is economy, which is in a dire situation despite impressive growth and development in the country.
So this whole crisis started with the protest by the students now over the quota system for the freedom fighters. How did it now snowball into this huge political crisis that Bangladesh is now dealing with, leading to the resignation of the prime minister?
I think three critical issues. The first is political arrogance, because we have the government surviving over the past 15 years through questionable elections, three questionable elections. Not that the opposition party was much better, but certainly this government took every initiative to make sure that the elections are one-sided and one party. So this is one, and as a result, a lot of people haven't voted for a long time. So that grievance is very much there. The second important issue is the disparity. The huge amount of money has been siphoned out from Bangladesh to different countries through oligarchs and kleptocratic actors who has survived through the political impunity and by creating a culture of fear. And the third important issue over here was that the political repression against whosoever used to criticize the government. So all accumulated. So while the quota was moved by the students, the government didn't pay any attention and did not try to resolve the problem through talk and through political mediation. Instead, they have used coercive measures, and they used to use a lot of violent messaging. So I think one hand, this inflation, economy, vote, and the other hand, the quota disparity all coincided together, and the snowball effect was very clear that everybody came to help each other. And the movement was so astronomically high that almost like 1 million people gathered in Dhaka over the past 2 days, despite enforced curfew.
Now, the impression a lot of people had all this while is that the Awami League party is a very big party in the country. And consider the fact also that the former prime minister now, not long ago, won a re-election. So what about the party members? Because if this was supposed to be the biggest party in the country, how come the party members are not actually rising up in defense of the former prime minister and defense of the party?
I think the first reason is there is no internal democracy within the political parties in Bangladesh. So everything is concentrated within the prime minister's office or within the people around the prime minister. So which made the party very weak. And over the period of time, instead of politicians, they started to recruit or get elected all the private sector people, those who has never been in politics, or rather they've been into the private sector earning money. Now we have seen a huge number of oligarchs coming up. So the result was the party was heavily disconnected with the majority of the population. It is true that it is the largest political party. It has a huge subscription. But unfortunately, the ruling party's student wings in Bangladesh, student wings are very important because they usually work as the muscle power of the government or the political party in power. So they were heavily crushed by the general students. And the number of people is so high that police or any other law enforcement agencies couldn't withstand them. So the number of people who participated in these protests is so astronomically high, which is not being comprehended, or it is not possible for the law enforcement agencies to deal with them.
So where does Bangladesh go from here? I mean, what do you think would be the biggest challenge that the interim government now would have to deal with before probably elections, fresh elections are announced?
I think the major problem will be election itself, because the political institutions, or perhaps electoral institutions, as well as there is a huge criticism about the judicial institutions, are absolutely in a disarray. So, which means the interim government has to reform these institutions, which is going to be a mammoth task, and then subsequently make this institution independent and act neutrally. As you have rightly mentioned earlier, that they're heavily, it's a huge political party, and over the 15 years, they have recruited huge bureaucratic entities who will be siding to the to Awami League. So therefore, it will be very difficult for them to clean them up. On the other hand, the other two political parties, which is an Islamist political party or rightist political party, has a different kind of agenda that often contradicts the constitution. So that's a problem. And the opposition, which is largely BNP, has to reorganize their political strategies. So altogether, it is going to be a very, very difficult and challenging task for them.
Just before I let you go, do you think the opposition BNP stands to gain from this politically?
Certainly, certainly. But I won't say that it is going to be very easy, because many of the protesters are the first-time voters, or many of them have never voted, and they have a very failed memory of BNP, because it's 15 years, and even if somebody was 15 years old when this party came to power, they're 30 and never voted. So therefore, I think the major challenge for BNP would be to regain its acceptance among the youth who has led this particular political movement, and then also have to go and reach out to the public and pitch for their acceptability, that they're not going to be an ultra-right or pro-right or far-right political entity. And then, of course, the Bangladesh's neighbor, India, has always put all his eggs in one basket, which is Awami League. So therefore, the Indians will also have a very difficult time to see that BNP comes as a viable alternative.
I see. Well, Professor Shahab Inam Khan, thank you very much for your time, and thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much.